Hi guys, it's Maverick65 and today we're doing some more gaming. I don't know if we call it retro game really because it's not really that old. Made in 2007. This is Chessmaster, the art of learning. This is part of the Chessmaster series which has been on other platforms like Windows, MS-DOS, PlayStation. They've named about a few platforms, so let's press the start button. Make a new profile. Backspace. Shift. Right, so there's a shift there. Right, I used to be really good at this game. Let's look at the profile. Look like Indians or something. Okay, we'll go back. My name is Josh. Classic chess puzzles, rated chess games, with all part of the main training and all that. Okay, so classic chess. Play rated games, practice games, set up position learn to play chess. Start a game of chess against a Chessmaster personality select for you. You will play white. Chess puzzles. Now, like I said, I've not played chess for a while, really, so I am a bit rusty, and I'm also tend to play really bad moves sometimes. So we'll go for classic chess. Learn how to play. Let's start from the basics. Introduction. Welcome to your first lesson. Notation I know about the pieces, but I'll just go through the basic with you guys. Then he's set up with a chessboard. 64 squares alternating colours. So when you setting up a board, when you first start setting up a board, you have to make sure there's a white square in the bottom right hand corner. That ensures you have the board the right way around. Okay, so the horizontal and vertical lines of squares on the chessboard are called ranks and files. The ranks are the ones going across, I think. Yeah, so the horizontal lines on the chessboard called ranks. These are numbered from 1 to 1 at the bottom of the chessboard. So this is how your notation works. That's from bottom left hand corner from A1. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Basically, this is from the white's point of view. So you would start, black would start from the 8th rank. White will start from first, and black will start from the 8th. So the vertical lines of the board are called files. Files there, so that's from A1 to A8. Now when you're black, you just start from A8 to A1, go to A1. See, when you hear that rook dominating the diva, you'll understand what it means. So you've got a clear line of sight to the line on the board. You've got a clear line, a clear rank there, which the rook will dominate. This certain line species start with pawns, the bishop, the knight, the rook, and the queen, and also, and finally, the king. Each piece differs in its method of movement and capture. But this is a complicated one. It moves differently to the way it captures. Pawns are the weakest pieces in chess, but they have unique qualities that mean just one pawn can make a difference between victory and defeat. Let's take a closer look. They start with 8 pawns either side. The white pawns occupy the second rank, while the black pawns on the 7th rank. Pawns move one square at a time. You can only move forwards, never sideways or backwards. So once you move them forward, you can't move them back. In this first move, each pawn can also have the option of moving 2 squares forward instead of 1 square. Once a pawn has been moved, it reverts to move 1 square, even if it has moved 1 square on its first move. So you only get a chance to move the pawn 2 squares in your first move. After that, if you don't have that chance, you don't do your pawn his first move 2 squares up, you're going to do 1 after that. Here the white pawn in b2 can move to either b3 or b4. In that position you can move 2 squares or 1 square forward. After you've done that, it's only 1 square forward at a time. So let's see, the pawn of e3 has already been moved, so it can only move 1 square to e4. So he's been moved already, he's had his first move, he's had his chance to move 2 squares forward, they can only move 1 square outwards at a time. One cannot move if the square directly in front of them is blocked by another piece. As you can see here, there's 3 white pawns have been blocked by other pieces, they can't move at all, apart from the one on the right. Pawns are unique in that they capture in a different manner to their movement, so this is the difference between this and the other pieces. You can't move back, you can move forward 2 spaces in this first move, then 1 space afterwards, and then it can only capture diagonally as well, as shown here. Pawns can also capture opposing pawns using a special move called en passant. So from the black's point of view, you move 2 squares forward, but the white pawn can still capture en passant. En passant allows players to capture pawns that opponents may be trying to sneak past their own pawns. You can apply it if you want, but you don't have to use that move. Some people use it, some people don't. This is covered in more detail in the section on advanced tactics. Pawns are also unique in that they can be promoted into another piece when they reach the end of the board. So here, the pawn is on his last square before it moves on to the 8th rank. Normally players choose to promote their pawns into queens because they're the most powerful piece. But you don't have to be a queen, it can be a knight, a bishop, a rook, any of those other pieces, apart from the king. But you can promote the pawn to any other piece except for a king. Never underestimate your pawns or view them as throwaway pieces. because they can provide a defensive wall and good support for your other pieces. And promoting one later in the game can be the factor that ensures victory. Now let's inspect the next of the troops, the bishop. This is the bishop, the first of the long distance pieces. The bishops operate on the diagonals. So when you first start the game, you have one bishop on white squares and one bishop on black squares, and they can only operate on those coloured squares. So this one here is on the white squares, so it has to stay in the white squares. Bishops also play a key role in the early stages of the game and can also play a major part in the latter stages. So let's check this piece out. There you go, there's two pieces. Players start with two bishops, one on the black and one on the white squares, as you can see there. We start on the game on the C and F file. Bishops are long distance pieces that move diagonally across the board, travelling as far as desired until they are blocked by another piece. So there's a piece blocking the way, they can't move further than that block, behind that block piece. Bishops can capture any opponent's piece in their path, such as rook shown here. So the bishop moves diagonally and also captures diagonally as well. Since they move and capture diagonally, the bishops remain on the same colour square that they begin the game on. So which is what I said before. Your white bishop on the white squares will stay in the white squares throughout the game, and your black bishop on black squares will stay in the same squares as well. Each player is therefore said to have a light bishop for light squares and a dark bishop for dark squares. Although not as versatile or valuable as some of the other pieces, the bishops are usually the first long distance pieces to come out from behind a wall pawn. They are often used in accompaniment with the next piece, the knights. Knights are tricky ones. Knights are the only piece that can jump over other pieces. The knight is one of the more unusual and unique pieces in the game in chess, and one that, when used effectively, can cause untold havoc with your opponent's pieces. Let's look at this piece in more detail. They start with two knights. Each side starts with two knights. These are placed on the B and G square and G files. Knights move in an L shape, two squares horizontally or vertically, plus one square 90 degrees to the original direction. So you got to, when you're moving a knight, you need two squares to your right or left, and up, one or down these. And there's the way it can go, and you can jump over other pieces as well. A knight in the middle of the board therefore has a maximum of 8 squares that it can move to. You're at the corner of edges, so ideally you'd like your knight towards the centre of the board. Knights have a unique type of movement in that they jump to their destination. Their path is not as flexible as any other pieces. As you can see there. Knights capture using the same L-shaped movement as their movement, and can capture any opponent piece without a destination square. Knights can also attack most pieces without those pieces being able to capture the knight in return. Only another knight can counter a knight attack. Knights are very versatile. They can even be used very early in the game, even before you move a pawn. Their unique style of movement and attack can cause lots of problems to your opponent, so try to make the most of them. Now let's look at the more powerful pieces, the rook, or the castle as some people call it. The rook is a long distance piece and is second in powers only to the queen. Rooks can be a major force during the last stage of the game and provide the backbone for your army. So let's take a closer look. We start with 2 rooks at the beginning of the game. They are placed on the corner of the chessboard on the A and the H files. Rooks are long distance pieces that can move horizontally and vertically for any distance until they are blocked by another piece. So basically straight up and down. Rooks can capture any opposing piece within their path, such as the pawn shown here, or the knight below. Rooks are very powerful pieces. They can dominate the whole files during the early stages of the game, as shown here. While their sweeping movements across an open wall, the latter stage can rapidly destroy. While the sweeping movements move across an open wall, the latter stages can rapidly destroy your opponent's force. Now you can see that when they come up out from the corners, the rooks can take command of large areas of the chessboard. So it's basically about controlling the centre square so you can get the maximum amount of control for each piece. A powerful piece indeed. But now let's check out the even more powerful piece, the queen. This is the queen, the most powerful piece in your army. The queen is the most versatile pieces of the pieces, and is considered the most valuable than all your pawns put together. Let's examine this piece in more detail so you can understand why. You get 1 queen to start off with. The queens are placed on the D file, occupying squares the same colour as themselves. So the queen goes on the D file and it sits. The white queen sits on a white square, and the black queen sits on the black square. And the king sits down next to her. The queen is the most powerful piece in the chess, combining the movements of both the rook and the bishop. As you can see there where it can go. The queen can move horizontally, vertically or diagonally for any distance until instructed by another piece. The queen captures using the same direction horizontally, vertically or diagonally. So the queen can move like a bishop, but it doesn't have to stay in the same squares as the bishop. It can also move like a rook as well, and can capture any piece that may be attacking it, except for a knight, because a knight can move differently. The queen is the most powerful of all pieces and can dominate the chessboard at any stage of the game. The queen, the most powerful piece in your army. Used effectively, the queen can give you advantage at the start of the game and help you keep that advantage until your victory is complete. Although the most powerful piece, there is one piece even more important than the queen, the king. So let's look at this piece next. This is the king. The king is the most important piece in your army. If your king is captured, you lose the game. So it's vital that you know all about it. Each player has 1 king. The kings are placed on the E file, occupying squares opposite colours to themselves, so basically next to the queen. The king is a powerful piece, but not a fast-moving one. He can move in any direction, but only for 1 square. The king cannot move into a square that is occupied by a piece of the same colour, such as the pawn shown here on E5. Nor can the king move into a square that is being attacked by the opponent's piece, such as the square shown here and the attack from the rook. So you can't move into check, basically. Kings can also combine rooks to perform a move called castling. So this is when you move your rook towards the centre of the board and move your king into safety, which is the reason behind castling. Otherwise, your rook will be stuck on the corner of the board, so this is a good way of bringing your rook in towards the centre and move your king into safety. Passing helps defend your king and bring the rooks into play early in the game. This is covered in more detail in the section on advanced tactics. Although slow in movement, the king can capture any opponent's pieces and any of the 8 squares around it. So you can still capture pieces, but you've got to be really careful with it. But they cannot capture defended pieces, such as the rook shown here being protected by the knight. If your king is attacked by an opponent's piece, this is called check. So when you move a piece to attack a king and is attacking a king, you have to say check. You must escape check in your very next turn by moving the king, blocking the attack, or by capturing the attacker. If you cannot escape check, this is called checkmate. So you say checkmate if the king can't move out of the way of the attack. This means you have lost the game. Here the black queen is attacking the white king. The king cannot move within the H file because the black queen's attacking all of it. Likewise, the king cannot move into the G file because the black rook is covering all those squares. The white king has been checkmated and black wins the game. Powerful but slow and vulnerable, kings are nonetheless the most critical part of your army. The successful defense of your own king and the successful capture of your opponent's king are the keys to winning a game of chess. Now you know the different pieces in chess, it's also a good idea to know the comparative values. So that's what we'll explore next. The different pieces in chess each have different methods of attacking and capturing, and have different strengths and weaknesses. So the different pieces also have different values that can be assigned to them. Let's look at their values. The values of pieces in the chess are based on the number of pawns that they are worth. The pawn is called the unit of value. It is the lowest piece and the one by which the other pieces are measured. Bishops are worth around 3 pawns, or prawns I used to call. Pawns, 3 pawns, as are knights, so knights are worth the same. Rooks are more powerful than knights, and bishops are now worth 5 pawns. While the queen is most valuable piece on the board is worth 9 pawns. Kings cannot be measured in pawns since they cannot be lost or exchanged. If you lose your king, you lose the game. So now you know what each piece is worth, will know whether a trade gives you material advantage. Remember, however, these values are given as a guideline. During a game, you may find that one piece is proving more effective than another, and that is typically more valuable. So the trade may not always be worth it. So it depends what position the pieces are in and how effective they are. That increases the value of the piece. Treat each game and situation differently. You might think of exchanging a knight or bishop for something else and find out that's more important than something else that may be important than you think. Now you know the value of the pieces, let's see how they are arranged on the board. And there you go, there's this setup of the board. Don't forget your right square bottom right hand corner. That's the most important thing to start off with. Once you get that, then it's easy to put the pawns in front. 8 pawns in front, and then you got the rocks on the corner squares. Knight goes next to the rook, then the bishop, and then you get the white queen sits on the white square, and then your king goes on the last square. And that's a reminder to tell you how you can tell which way around the board is. The pawns are then placed on the front line for each colour. And then the rooks, of course, the knights, bishops, queen, always on the colour square she is. So the white queen will go on the white square, black queen will go on the black square. Although chess may be seen a complicated game, the rules are themselves remarkably simple. The subtleties come in tactics that you use to make effective use of your different pieces, to capture your opponent's queen, king, and win the game. Let's investigate the basic rules of how to play. Chess is played by two players. One player plays white and uses the white pieces, the other plays the black and uses the black pieces. Then you take alternative turns to move their pieces. White moves first, then black, then white again, and so on. The players take their turns, move their own pieces and capture their opponents, attempting to capture their opponent's king and win the game. So that's the basic main aim of the game, is to capture the opponent's king. Now let's examine a few of the finer points of attacking your opponent's king and how to win the game. The goal of playing chess is to capture your opponent's king, but before that you can launch attacks on the king at any time. Attacking your opponent's king has some rules attached to it, so let's check them out. During the game, the players can launch attacks on their opponent's king. This is called check. Here you can see the white queen is attacking the black king, the king is in check. If you're placed in check, you must get out of it in your very next turn. There are three ways to escape check. 1. Move the king. Here black can move the king to d7, d8 or f8 to escape check. However, black cannot move the knight to f7 because it's being guarded by the bishop. And kings are not allowed to move into check. To block the attack with the knight, we're moving the knight to e7. The white's queen is now attacking the knight instead of the king, and the black is no longer in check. The only thing is now is the knight is pinned unless you can move the king out of the way behind it. Capture the attacker. Black can use the bishop on c6 to capture the white queen. Capturing the attacker also means that black is no longer in check. You are also not allowed to expose your king to check while making a move, so you can't move the king into check. Here black cannot promote a pawn on d2 because it will expose the attack on the rook from the rook. If you find yourself in check and cannot escape, then you are said to be in checkmate and you lose the game. So now you know about attacking the king, it's time to capture the king and winning the game. Checkmate. The objective of chess is to capture your opponent's king with an attack that cannot be escaped. This is called checkmate. Let's look at this in more detail. Checkmate occurs when one player is in check and cannot escape it by moving their king, blocking the attack, or capturing their attacking piece. Right, so I can see here, you know, the black's move. If it's black's move, then he moves the rook down to the bottom rank, moves it down from d8 to d1, and if we check, and the king can't move out of the way, it can't even block it, it can't even capture the piece, that'll be checkmate. Checkmate signifies the end of the game, the winning player being the one that inflicted checkmate on their opponent's king. Here you can see the black can move their rook onto d1 to attack the white king. Black moves and places the king in check. The king cannot move forwards because it's blocked in by the pawns. and cannot move to f1 and h1. Because the rook is attacking the entire rank. Therefore, white is in checkmate and black wins the game. Because the king cannot move out of check into another check, it is possible to create checkmate using multiple pieces. Here the white queen is attacking the black king. The black king is unable to move to d8 or f8 because the queen is attacking the entire rank. Likewise, the king cannot move onto the 7th rank because the king is attacking these squares. The white king, that is. The black king is in checkmate and white wins the game. So if you can attack your opponent's king in such a way that they cannot escape, you achieve checkmate and win the game. Games can also be drawn by a variety of methods, so let's investigate those next. Games can not only be won or lost, they can also be drawn. There are several ways for the game to be drawn, so let's check them out. Games can be drawn in 5 ways. Player agreement. Players can agree to a draw at any time during the game. So they both got equal material. They might think, oh, it's a waste of time. They might be really good players and agree to a draw because of that. Here the 2 players have the same pieces remaining and neither have a distinctly strong essential advantage. If the players so decide, one may offer a draw, and if the other accepts, the game is drawn. 2. Stalemate. Games are drawn if a player cannot move on their turn. 3. Right, so here, if it's black to move, he can't move any of his pieces. He can't even move his king because the white rook is guarding the square that the king can move to. Physical stalemate. Stalemate is when your opponent is not in check but cannot make a legal move with any of their pieces. In this situation, white looks set to win, but if you look carefully, you will see a problem. Black cannot move. The pawns are all tight against white's pieces, and black's king cannot move because the white rook covers the file. This game is in stalemate and declared a draw. So if you have substantial material advantage towards the end of the game, be careful to avoid a stalemate situation. Next one is insufficient material. Games are drawn if neither player has the strength of wit or material to win. Here the white knight has white has a king and a knight. Black has only their king. Neither side is strong enough to force checkmate, so the game is declared a draw. So I don't think you can win with a knight and a king versus a king. Other combinations that cannot force checkmate are king and bishop against the king. So king and bishop doesn't work either. And 2 knights as well. King plus 2 knights against the king doesn't work. And of course, king against king. So that'd be definitely a draw. The insufficient material rule does not apply if either player has a pawn, but since a pawn can be promoted. Repetition. A draw can be claimed by a player when identical moves have been made at least 3 times. Here white has distinct advantage, looks set to win. So black forces a draw by moving a knight. Places the white king in check. White moves their king out check. And black moves a knight back to his original position. Placing the white king in check again, this time using the bishop. White moves the king back again, back to the king's starting position. That move is back, and black moves the knight again, causing the king again with the checking the king again with the knight. White moves again, and so does black. Exposing the king to check from the bishop once more, and so on. that continuously checks the white king using the same moves, or white cannot get out of the repetition to win the game. I don't think I've been in that position before, but I have managed to get in a stalemate in the game. This is called perpetual check. Black claims a repetitive moves and salvages a draw, and otherwise certain defeat. And 50 moves. Players can claim the draw if no catch has been made and no pawn has been moved in the previous 50 moves. This sometimes occurs when there are no pawns left and the player with sufficient material to win is however unable to get past the other player's defences. So there are many ways for a game to enter a draw. Some are great ways to save a game you're losing. Just be careful you don't let your opponent use them you are winning. Now we look at ways that games are recorded. The squares on the chessboard each have a unique coordinate to identify them and to allow the moves in the games of chess to be recorded. Let's see how it works. So nowadays we use algebraic notation. So you've got A to H and you've got 1 to 8 as shown on there. Chess uses the letters and numbers of the files and ranks to give a unique identity to each square on the board. The combination of letters and numbers is called algebraic notation. Taking this square as an example, we can see that if it is on file E and rank 7, this square is therefore E7. This square is E3, A3, and this one is H5. Algebraic notation is also used for recording moves made in games. First, each of the major pieces is given a letter. Kings use the letter K, queens use a Q, rooks are an R, knights are an N, and bishops use the letter B. Pawns do not have an identity letter. So if you see a move written down without the identity letter of the piece, this signifies a pawn move. The moves are recorded using the identity letter of the piece, the square that the piece move starts from, and the square that it moved to. So in this example, white moves a pawn from E2 to E4. So algebraic notation for this is E2, E4. Black then moves their knight from B8 to C6. So it will be knight moves to B8 from B8 to C6. Then white moves their knight from G1 to F3. So it'll be N, G1 to F3. When one piece is captured, the move is written out using an X. So in this case, it'll be A4 takes B takes B8. A4 takes knight C6, or bishop takes knight. Or notation is written as a table recording. As a table recording moves made by black and white in their respective turns. There you go. Order for you have to give the position as well. Well, castling, about which you will learn later, uses a unique form notation. The notation indicates the number of squares a rook moves. Here, white's castle king size are 0, 0. The king moves 2 squares towards a rook from E1 to G1. Then moves the rook 2 squares from H1 to F1. Since the rook moved 2 squares, the notation is written as 0, 0. Black then castles queenside. That's 3 zeros then. The king moves 2 squares towards the rook from e8 to c8. Then moves the rook 3 squares from a8 to d8. Then this time the rook moves 3 squares and the notation is written as 0, 0, 0. So castling on the queen side. So using algebraic notation you can record your own games. Recreate the famous games played by some of the greatest players in the world. The next session in this tutorial is advanced tactics, the rules and plays that can really boost your game. So take time to do them well. Right, so in this section we learn how to the finer points of playing chess. The moves and situations to look for that can give you an advantage of your opponent. Then come back and review these as often as you like. And try to create a situation where you can recognize them and use them. Once you are familiar with advanced tactics and how to use them effectively, you'll be playing some great games of chess. The first item is a special move for pawns called en passant. Let's check that out. En passant is a special capture for pawns. It can be used to stop opponents sneaking their pawns past your own and on towards promotion. Preventing your opponents promoting your pawns is crucial in the game of chess, so let's see how it's done. En passant is a special move for pawns only. It allows you to capture advancing pawn's opponent pawn when it is an adjacent square to one of your own pawns. For example, in this example, the white pawn and e5. Black moves their d7 pawn to d5. White would normally not be able to capture it. White can, however, capture the pawn using en passant. White captures the black pawn, moving the pawn diagonally to do d6 as if black had only moved one square. This is en passant. There are 2 rules that apply while using this rule thing, en passant. Your opponent must have moved their pawn 2 squares forward. And the en passant capture must be performed in your next move, so you can't leave it afterwards. En passant is not an easy rule to remember and use, but used effectively it can destroy opponents' plans. The next item is special moves for your castle and king called castling. You'll see how it works. Castling is a special move that is often used early in the game. It helps it helps defend your king and bring the most powerful rook out from the corner into play in the centre files. It's a good move to learn and use. So let's look at it now. Castling is a special move where players can move the king into safety and bring one of their rooks in towards the centre of the board. 2 times castling in chess, kingside and queenside. Here white decides to castle kingside. The king moves 2 squares toward the rook, finishing on g1. The rook then moves to the other side of the king and finishes on f1. This is kingside castling. Black then decides to castle on the queen side, and when you're doing this you have to make sure there's no pieces between your king and your rook. The king moves 2 squares to the rook, the finishing c8 and the king, and the rook moves 3 squares to the other side of the king. As you can see, this helps move the rook towards the centre from leaving on the corner. This is queenside castling. Notice how much more protected the kings are behind the pawns. There are 4 rules of government castling. 1. The king and rook to be castled must not have been previously moved. So once you moved your king or your rook, who you're going to castle with, you can't do the castling move. If any of the pieces haven't been moved, then castling is not permitted, even if they move back to their original positions. Here, white have already moved the king, so he cannot castle all in this game. The spaces between the king and the rook must not be occupied. Here, white cannot castle because the bishop's blocking either side. The king cannot be in check. Here it looks as if white can castle kingside because the space between the king and the rook are clear. But the king is being attacked by the black bishop, so white cannot castle. Because he's going to have to move out of the way anyway. The king cannot pass through squares that are being attacked. Right, so it looks like white can castle queenside. So it looks like, yeah, so he can't move past that square because the queen's attacking one of the squares there. The squares between the king and the rook are clear and the king is not in check. However, the d1 square that is the king must pass through is being attacked by the black queen, so white cannot castle. Castling not only helps defend your king but also brings your rooks into play early in the game. Used wisely, the rooks can dominate the centre files. Keeping your king safe is a key into defence in chess. And castling is a great way to do just that at an early stage of the game. Next up is the first of the special attacks, the fork. Let's check it out. Knights are really good at this kind of thing. Let's look at how it's to form forks. One of the many powerful attacks available in chess. Used effectively, they can bring you substantial material advantage and swing the tide of the game. Let's see how they work. Forks are attacks where one piece is used to attack two or more pieces simultaneously. As you can see, the pawn is attacking two pieces at the same time. And both pieces can't capture the pawn. Forks can be very powerful moves, winning pieces outright or forcing opponents to exchange for a piece of low value. Here the white pawn forks black rook and the knight. If black moves the knight, white will capture the rook. If black moves the rook, white captures the knight. Whichever piece black moves, white takes the other and gains a material advantage. When performing a fork, check whether your opponent can attack the forking piece and support the piece as necessary. See, that one I wouldn't really call it fork because the bishop can capture it. Oh yeah, but the attack by the queen, yeah, it's going to lose out, isn't it? Here you can see the black pawn is forking white bishop and rook. White can capture the pawn with the bishop, but black is supporting the pawn with a knight. So if white takes the pawn, black captures the bishop with a knight, winning the bishop for a pawn. Forks can be very powerful when attacking your opponent's king. This forces the player to either move their king or to capture the attacker. Here you can see the black bishop is forking white's king and queen, placing white in check. White either moves their king and black takes the queen, or white takes the bishop with the queen, which black then catches with the rook. Either way, white loses their queen. Another powerful fork is the knight fork. Oh, the knights are really good at forks. The unique opponent movement of the knight makes a knight fork especially effective because no piece except another knight can fork counter it. Here the white knight forks two black rooks. Black cannot capture the knight, it can only move one rook to safety. White then captures the other rook. Using knights to thwart opposing king and another piece is one of the most powerful pieces. Using knights to thwart the opposing king and another piece is one of the most powerful moves in chess because it is often used as a piece for no cost. Here the white knight thwarts black's king and queen. Black cannot capture the knight, so must move the king. White then captures black's queen with their next move. Watch carefully for thought patterns while playing. Try to make them work to your advantage, but avoid being caught by them. Next up is another powerful move, the pin. The pin can be a very powerful move in chess. It can help you win pieces and also bring your opponent's plans grinding to a halt. Let's check them out. Pins are attacks on an opponent's piece where moving the attack piece exposes a more valuable piece of attack, like a queen or a king, for instance. Here, the white rook is attacking the black bishop. Black can move the bishop out of the path of attack, but this means the white will be able to capture the black's queen. The bishop is therefore pinned to the queen. Pins can also be formed against your opponent's king. Here, the black bishop pins white's queen against their king. White cannot move the queen out of the bishop's attack, since this would expose white's king to check. Notice also black's pawn protecting the bishop. White therefore has three options in this situation: move the queen, move their king, capture the bishop. Whichever option white uses, their queen is lost. Once you have opponent's piece pinned, you can try to make the pin more profitable by attacking it another again. Here you can see the white bishop pinning the rook against black's queen. White has an option of capturing the pinned rook with the bishop. Then losing the queen to the black bishop. Then losing the bishop to the black queen. This move gives material gain, but there is a better move. White advances the pawn to also attack the rook. The rook is now being attacked by two pieces, the bishop and the pawn. If white captures the rook, if white captures the rook with the bishop, or if white captures the rook with the bishop on the next turn, black can capture the bishop with the queen. Black cannot capture the bishop with the queen without losing their queen to the pawn, so white wins the rook outright. Another type of pin is a pin to a square onto a piece. Here the white rook is attacking the black's knight. Black cannot move the knight out of the path of the rook because white will move the rook to c8, checkmate. So the knight is pinned to square c8. Pins can only be formed by the long distance pieces: the queen, the rooks, and the bishops. Pins can be nasty traps. So play carefully, make sure that you take advantage of them when they arise, and avoid falling into them yourself. Next up is a move that is similar to a pin, the skewer. Let's go and see. The skewer is another of the powerful tactical moves available in chess. It can force moves your opponent can force moves from your opponent to save a valuable piece and expose another piece to attack. Let's take a closer look. skewers attacks against valuable pieces, where while moving the attack piece leaves a lesser piece vulnerable. Here, the black bishop is attacking the white queen. Notice also the black pawn is supporting the bishop, preventing the queen from capturing it. If white moves their queen to safety, they expose the rook and b2 to attack, which black then captures. The bishop is said to have been skewering the queen against the rook. Even if white captures the bishop in return, black wins a rook for a bishop and still makes a material gain. Skewering your opponent's king can be a very effective move. Here the white rook skewers the black king against the queen. Black cannot capture the rook or block the attack, and is forced to move their king, allowing white to capture the black queen. Skewers can only be performed by the long distance pieces, the queen, the rooks, and the bishops. The skewer can undermine your opponent's back ranks and leave their back forward pieces vulnerable and without support. So take advantage of skewers whenever you can. The final section in the advanced taxes can also be most deadly, discovery. So let's check it out. I think it's called a discovered attack. Discovery attacks can be some of the most devastating moves in chess. Used effectively, they can target and capture your opponent's most valuable pieces. And your opponent is helpless to prevent it. Let's study in more detail. Discovery attacks or discovered attacks occur when a player moves one of their pieces and in doing so uncovers an attack on their opponent piece with a different piece. In this example, we can see that black's pieces are not protected. Oh, look at this. So white moves the bishop to d4 or e7 to attack the knight and f6. White also exposes the bishop on c6 to a discovered attack with the rook. Black can either move the bishop and lose the knight, or black can move the knight and white captures the bishop. Whichever piece black moves, the other is lost. Discovery attacks that include your opponent's king are very powerful moves. These force your opponent to respond to the check first and give you the potential to make huge material gains. Here you can see that black appears to be in a very strong position, looks set to win. Black has a material advantage of queen and 2 pawns against white's bishop. Black is also threatening check on the first rank. I'll be checkmate then, won't it, if he did that? The queen moves down to that square there, the king can't move out of the way. That'll be checkmate. And he's forking white's pawn, white's rook and pawn. Threatening to check. Is forking white's pawn and rook. White's rook and pawn. So what does white do? I can see that. I can see what it is. You move that pawn up on f3 to f4. And what happens is it uncovers the bishop attacking to attack the king. And also the pawn is attacking the queen. Notice the position of black's king and white's bishop. There you go. and the position of the black queen and white's pawn on f3. White moves the pawn to f4 to attack the black queen, and also exposes the king to an attack by the bishop. So he can't do anything else apart from move the king out of the way. He can't do anything else. Discovered check. Black cannot capture the bishop with the queen. He's forced to move their king out of check. White then captures the queen, and now white has a slight material advantage. Even if black had blocked the check using their queen, white takes the queen with the bishop. The material result is the same. Discovery attack can use a combination of pieces, and often require several steps to recreate, but they can turn the tide of a game and prove to be a deciding factor. So use them whenever you can. This is the end of the Chessmaster tutorial, but feel free to return when you want to brush up on the rules. Remind yourself of the move that can help you to win. There we go. Okay, so we're just been through the rules of chess, the tactics, and how to set up the board of chess. So I thought I'd just go through this tutorial. I've done it before, but I don't do this on Chessmaster. This is on PlayStation Portable. So thanks for watching this. Don't forget you can follow me on Twitch, subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the like button you like the video, and don't forget to hit the bell to get notification of any new content. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and see you guys soon.